sat here with this awesome purple wig. I am in love with this wig. It came yesterday. I wore it for the kids today in class. They all thought I was crazy, and I think I might have made one girl cry, but I don't even care because I absolutely love this. Like, I want to wear this all the time. I think it's awesome. I'm a 35-year-old woman in love with a purple wig. It's awesome. I tried to wear it today. One of my kids had a psych eval, and I wanted to wear it to the psych evaluation, and he was like, no, you cannot wear that because they're going to think we're really crazy. Which is a whole nother mess, by the way, because the mental health system is ridiculous. Seriously, I've had a kid 6 months on a waiting list just to get his ADHD medication, like to get that situated. I've got another kid who's waited 8 months on a waiting list to get an outpatient therapist. The whole thing is ridiculously stupid, the whole system. But I have this purple wig, so it's okay, and I did not wear it to the psych eval, so she only thinks that we are a moderately crazy family. But today I wanted to make a video for you guys because I have a lot of you that are in the process of applying and interviewing at a couple of the different ESL companies. So I wanted to go over with you kind of what my tips are for that interview and for that, mock demo class, whatever the company you're going through is calling it. They are all pretty much the same. So these tips are going to apply to any of the companies that you are working with. They're just general tips. Later, I'll try and get some more specific tips for you for some of the companies that I work for. But let's go over some of those main tips for you so you can rock that mock class or your demo class or your interview, whatever it may be. Number one is going to be the atmosphere. Your lighting needs to look good. Lighting is important, please. This is one of the biggest things that I see, and it annoys me so much as a, an evaluator for when I look at some of these classes, is somebody's in this dark room, you can't see them. Make your lighting good. Play around with it. It does not have to be expensive. You don't have to go out and buy crazy. You'll see some videos where they buy crazy like photography lights. No, it does not have to be like that. I literally have I'll show you in a minute, but I literally have a Walmart lamp that was $19.99 that has like 5 different things and you can adjust them. And the key is to get the right light bulb. You want the daylight light bulbs, not the soft white light bulbs like you would get for your normal lamps. Get the daylight ones. And then I really suggest getting a lamp that you can adjust. I find what works best for me in my classroom is to actually have the lights pointed the opposite direction because it bounces off the wall. Doesn't create so much harsh shadows. But you've got to play around with it. Let it work for you. Let me show you what my room is a complete disaster. But here is my lamp. It was like 20 bucks from Walmart. Okay, and it's got several different options so I can move them around. Find the best lighting for me. Lighting is going to be really important. The other thing is going to be, how you present yourself. Yes, you're working from home and you can come in your pajamas, but, top up. Woo! I mean, you can try purple hair. I don't know. I might not do it for the interview, but you want to look professional. You want to look, well groomed, all of that kind of stuff. You don't want to look a hot mess, even though most of the time I look a hot mess for the interview. Don't look a hot mess in that classroom. Make sure you are smiling and energetic. You don't have to be crazy high energy. Again, people are like, I watched some YouTube videos and I cannot do that. I'm not like that. That is okay. You do not have to copy somebody who's totally out there, crazy, high energy, but you do need to be energy. You need to be engaging. You cannot sit there, monotone voice. You want to vary your voice levels. You want to be energetic. You want to keep the students' attention. It's 25 minutes for most of these companies. SAYABC, I think, is like 40. I mean, it's a long time for a little kid to sit in front of a computer, especially when they're in their house and there's so many fun things to distract them. So you need to be more entertaining than that. Doesn't mean you need to be Barney, but you need to be entertaining and keep the students' attention. I always say, really get in the camera, make everything big and exciting so that they want to look at that little tiny square that you are in. So that's going to be really important, as well as the background. Don't be teaching in your bathroom with the toilet behind you. Yes, I've seen it. Don't be teaching in the middle of your living room with all kinds of crazy things behind you. Yes, I've seen it. Be somewhere, either blank wall, couple of fun things up. It doesn't have to be as awesome as mine is. But it does need to look professional. You don't want to have people walking around, cats walking around. My dog is currently walking around. You can probably hear his little claws, but I'm not in the middle of class. So you do want to make sure that everything on that nature, that's your first impression. So make it look good. that's my first tip. The next thing that you want to definitely do is use the student's name, or whoever the interviewer is pretending to be. Use their name. Make sure you stop and do that introduction. Take some time on that introduction. I see a lot of people rush through. They never ask my name. They don't ask me any kind of rapport building questions. Building rapport with the student is going to be really important, especially at some of these companies where the parent is picking you. You want to build a rapport with that student. You want them to come back. They want them to leave and say, I want to go see Teacher Brett again. You're not going to do that if you're not building rapport. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but my name is Brett. What's your name? Hi. How old are you? What's your favorite color? Get something out of them. If they can't speak, if they're not giving you anything, give them the sentence to say. My name is Brett. Have them repeat it. Get a couple of sentences out of them right at the beginning. That's going to be really important. And then use their name. Using their name is also really great to keep their attention. So if I see somebody getting off track, hey, Brett, look what I have. That'll bring them back to watching you again. So get their name. Adjusting for the student is probably one of the biggest things I see. People will watch YouTube videos, and some of these YouTube videos will go slide by slide, going through the different mock classes or interviews. That's great. It can give you a lot of great ideas. You can't just copy that. Don't think you can just copy what this person says in a YouTube video and everything's going to be great. You have to adjust for the student you get in front of you. Every class I teach is totally different. It can be the same lesson. It's going to go totally different because every student's different. You have to adjust to the student. Student Brett, when she's playing the role and looking and engaging in some of these interviews, lots of times I'll be having fun and I'll bring out a toy and the person totally ignores me, the student. I'm so excited because I have this toy and they're like, pay attention, Brett, let's move on. No, engage with the student, acknowledge them, adjust to them. If they're having trouble with something, slow down. If they're got something, speed up, adjust to what their needs are. That's going to be really important. And the talk ratio, you want the student to be talking. You want to get them talking as much as possible. That is one of the biggest things I get from parent comments, is that they appreciate that the student is doing a lot of talking, engaging that student in conversation. Even if the student is a total beginner and can't say anything, I have them repeat after me, almost everything. We want a 50-50 ratio at minimum. As they get older, we want a 70-30 ratio, meaning they're speaking 70% of the time. So anytime I can have them repeat at that younger level, I'm having them repeat. Even if they can't say much, I will have them repeat. This is a cat. Yay! Just get them talking. That's going to be really important for the student. The older they are, the more you want them talking. So asking questions, really getting those sentences out of them so you can check for those corrections, which is going to be my next tip. Make corrections. Your interviewer or your mock class person, they're going to be making mistakes. They're looking for you to catch those. So if it's a pronunciation error, stop and have them pronounce the word or the sentence correctly. If it is a grammar error, lots of times I go to school. Correct the student. I went to school. Have them repeat it correctly. Those are going to be really important. Those are key for the parents. They are really looking for those corrections. So your interviewer is definitely going to be doing that as well. Make sure you make those corrections. Be patient. Give the student some wait time. Nothing crazy, but you are working with a delay a lot of times. If the student's internet's not great or anything like that, you might have a couple of seconds of delay. So definitely give them a couple of seconds to account for the computer issues, but also to account for that processing time. They need time to understand what question you ask them and come up with an answer. So give them some wait time as they're going through that. Timing is a big issue with a lot of these companies, but it is not the end-all be-all. So I have some people who are so concerned about the time that they miss points everywhere else because they're rushing through the slides. So you have to practice before that mock class or that demo class. You definitely want to practice and make sure that you have the timing down. Most of the companies I've worked at are about 1 minute per slide is a good ratio. So you'll have to kind of look and see how many slides are in your practice lesson and how much time you have, and then kind of divide that and see about how much time you have per per slide. So that'll get you working on that. So I say about a minute per slide. You want to keep pace. If you're starting to get off pace, yeah, you want to speed up a little bit. If you're way ahead, then you want to ask some more extension questions to slow down a little bit. Oh, what color are the cat's ears? Oh, how did I spell mom? Can you write mom? I'm going to stretch it out if we're ahead. So you want to be paying attention to that time. Have a timer. So some companies have a timer for you, others don't. Have your phone, have it in front of you so that you can kind of be glancing down at that and making sure that you are on track as far as time goes. Reward systems, make sure you know what the company is expecting as far as reward systems go. Do they have a built-in reward system? Is it trophies or stars that they're giving? Do they want you to use a secondary reward system? Right now, I changed it up, but right now I'm using these animals. I just put some magnets on the back. So every time the student does great, we get an animal, and then it helps them also learn some more vocabulary words as we go as well. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be something really simple. I also have on the back, I'll show you real quick. I'm going to go over these in another video, but on the back I have stuff to make a sandwich. So for the older kids who are a little bit beyond the animals, we will make a sandwich. So I'll give them choices. Do you want tomato or cheese? And we will put that on there. So that's, we want to make sure you know what reward system the company you're working with has and make sure you're using that as well. Let me see here. I have some notes. So I don't want to make sure I don't miss anything. Give lots of, as well as the reward, secondary reward system, you want to be giving lots of praise. Thumbs up, high fives, clapping, great job, awesome. Lots of positive praise for that student as well as you're going through there. As far as kind of some of the techniques that you're going to want to use, you're going to want to make sure that you're repeating those target words, lots of repetition. So whatever the target word is, cup. I'm going to have the student repeating that several times. Cup, cup, cup. Again, for the younger kids, I like to do 3 repetitions. A lot of the companies like 3. For the older ones, sometimes it's just 2, depending on the timing, but you'll want to kind of check and see what your company is looking for, but you want the student to be repeating it. You want them to be pronouncing it correctly. So again, if they're not, stop, take the time, get them pronouncing that word correctly. For those target words, you want to be familiar with the content of the slides, obviously. You want to know that lesson. Again, prepare, prepare, prepare. Practice that lesson. Be thinking of extension questions you might be able to ask. Be thinking of other ways to explain something to the student if they're not understanding or they're not sure. Don't just rely on one thing. Have a couple of backups in your head in case something doesn't go well, then you can switch out. If the student doesn't know what doctor is, then I might try and explain doctor to them. I might show them different. Does a doctor help animals or people? I did that this morning for a student. Yeah, doctor helps people. So have a couple of different ideas in the back of your head. If something doesn't go well, you can switch it up. And providing hints. That's another great thing is to provide hints. If they're struggling, you can kind of scaffold for them. Again, like this morning, I thought a student knew what the word doctor was, but he couldn't come up with the word. So I gave him a choice. So I said, does doctor help animal or do doctors help people? I gave him a choice. So I kind of gave him a hint. So I got that word for him so that he could then use it. So have some ideas about hints that you could give to the student if they're struggling. Let me see what my next post says for you all. Language, your language. Make sure you know kind of what level student you are speaking to, but you want to be careful with your language. Biggest mistake I see from people who are teachers in real life in the brick and mortar classroom is their language. They use a lot of language. In the classroom, when you're in there with your 25, 30 kids, you're using a lot of language, lots of instruction. ESL online is not the same. You want to keep your language short and simple. Remember, these kids have a very low English level, especially at the beginning. They're not going to understand a lot of the words coming out of your mouth. So it's a lot of wasted time for them to be sitting there staring at you while you're going on and on. So today we're going to be talking about something, and oh, I really like dogs, and we're going to talk about dogs, and I have 2 dogs, and sometimes the dogs go out to the street and they use the bathroom outside. Did you know that, Johnny? They have no idea what you're saying. Keep it really short and simple. Today we're going to talk about rabbit. Rabbit. Yay! And move on. All right, keep your language short, simple. If there's target sentences or target words, make sure you're using those as often as possible, having the student use those as often as possible. And remember that ratio, 50-50 for that younger, 70-30 for the older. We want them talking. I always tell my interviewees that we are more of a guide than a teacher in this environment. So you got to turn off your teacher hat a little bit and more of a guide. We're there to come along behind. Make sure they're saying things correctly. Make sure they're using good grammar. Make sure that they understand. We're there to kind of come along behind, especially as we get into that more advanced English level. Less teaching, more guiding as you're going through there. TPR and props. Going to be a big deal. Most companies are going to look for at least 2 props. I would suggest more. You don't need to go crazy with the props. You don't need to be prop king or anything like that. But a couple of props you will want to have at least 2. I would say try and shoot for 3 or 4 throughout the lesson that are relevant. So whatever the lesson is on, this again, I've done some videos on props before. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but a couple of props that you can grab from around the house. I like to cut out pictures from magazines a lot of times. I find that's cheap, easy way to go. But you'll want to have a couple of props. When you're using the props, make sure that they're in good view. You know, this is not, the student can't see it. This is not. Get it up there for the student to see. Hold it still. Don't quickly. They can't see that on the computer, and it's going to take your camera a second to adjust as well. So make sure that they can see the prop really good when you're using it. Make it really big in the camera. Same thing with that TPR. If I'm doing, you know, letter P, make sure it's nice and big in the camera so the student can see it. Everything you want to be a little bit more exaggerated in that camera so that it comes across really well to them as they're going through. But you want to make sure you're using TPR. That means educational and instructional TPR. You may see those 2 terms. Instructional TPR, you know, and educational TPR. What that means is you want to use TPR for, you know, when you're giving instructions, you know, what do you see? You also want to use TPR to help explain new vocabulary or new words. So build, I might have a hammer, pretend I'm building. Or grow, you know, I might pretend that my hands are a tree growing. So you want to use both kinds of TPR to give instructions as well as to help them learn those new words, new material as they're going through the class as well. Don't use the same kind of props either. Just because you have 5 flashcards, that's not going to cut it. Use different kinds of props. I might have flashcards. I might have a stuffed animal. I might have a picture. Use different kinds when you're going through there as well. So those are kind of my general ideas. Let me try to think if I can think of anything else to tell you. I think that kind of covers it all. I will try and get some more videos out on some of these things in more detail, but I think that gives you a general overview of kind of the things to remember when you're going through those mock classes. Definitely, I definitely encourage you to look at YouTube videos and see how other people have done it. Just don't rely on them. You have to kind of bring your own to it. So a lot of, you know, if you're using the same exact language and you get frustrated then when the interviewer goes off, they're going to know that you were just copying YouTube videos. You want to bring your own personality to it. Bring yourself. You are awesome. Woo! You don't need to copy anybody else. I hope that helps you guys. If you do have any questions, feel free to comment or send me an email. I am happy to help you through the process as well. And I will try and get some more videos out on company-specific type things, as well as some of these tips that I gave you in more detail. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you all love my purple wig as much as I do, because I'm probably going to be sporting it like all over the place, and my kids are going to hate me, especially if I wear my cat leggings. Oh my gosh, tomorrow, cat leggings and the purple hair. My kids hate me. Okay, thank you so much, guys. I hope I see you again soon. Have a wonderful day and happy teaching. Oh, make sure that you subscribe, because now I'm almost at 200 people. That's so exciting. My kids tell everybody how many subscribers I have every day, everywhere we go. My mom has whatever. So they are really excited, which makes me really excited. All right, guys, goodbye. Have a great day. See you.